Two men who couldn't be much more different. One of them called Donald Trump a reprehensible idiot who shouldn't be president.
Said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of...
And then J.D. Vance is staring at the camera and say, when you're from Haiti, any dog can be a sandwich. They didn't.
In a world where political debates are as exciting as watching grass grow, one man dares to make it funny. His name, Jimmy Kimmel. His mission? To turn boring political banter into comedy gold. Are you ready for some late night laughs? Speaking of laughing, you would assume that a disagreement would provide for interesting conversation. But what if the contenders showed some kind of respect? Kimmel struggled for a while to find any comedy in this pointless and tedious battle.
Two men who couldn't be much more different. One of them called Donald Trump a reprehensible idiot who shouldn't be president. Walz and Vance, they stuck to the issues. They showed each other a lot of respect. It was very boring.
Folks, our late night hero had a real problem with this one. The conversation was so polite it could have put a fed squirrel to sleep. Kimmel described it as very boring, and he didn't hold back. It was like watching paint dry without the dramatic changes in color. Kimmel, being the hilarious genius that he is, compared the dispute to taking kids apple picking. After 5 minutes, you're left wondering why you didn't just buy apples from the store. Even though everyone is initially excited, you are aware of how this operates. That was how this debate felt. The first frenzy of joy quickly faded, leaving onlookers to ponder whether they had accidentally shifted to a rerun of The Joy of Painting. But this is where Kimmel's true genius comes through. He made an absurd piece of work out of this sleep fest. One may ask, how? He started off by mocking the candidates' inconsistent strategies. Take Tim Walz as an illustration. Kimmel joked during the discussion that he thought Walz was going to bring out a corn dog. Is it even feasible to envision that? Walz abruptly arrives, chowing down on a traditional state fair meal while looking solemn and governor-like. That would have given the situation some spice.
Tim Walz being so serious. I kept expecting him to reach down behind his podium and come up with a corn dog and a baby pig. Tim Walz is a very likable guy. He's very normal, which is a problem for Fox News, especially because he looks like all of their viewers.
It was the ridiculousness of the whole situation, though, that really sealed the deal. It seemed almost un-American how polite and civil our conversation was. Kimmel pointed out that this civility would offend Trump, who finds disruptions amusing as much as a baby in a toy store. It would be like setting up a WWE match where the contestants decide to have a tea party instead of a match. It's likely that Trump was observing and thinking, where are the insults? The silences? The lost snuffles. But let's be honest for a minute. In a world where political discourse often resembles a food fight in a kindergarten cafeteria, shouldn't we be applauding this civility? In that case, both yes and no. Yes, it's great that the candidates treated each other with dignity. In a playful tone, Kimmel stated, "I don't know that anyone's vote was changed tonight. It appears that they have forgotten that debate is the main goal of a discussion." And this is where Kimmel's genius really shows. What could have been a dreary evening of politics turned into a hilarious satire on the state of our political system. Not just for laughs, but also to draw attention to the peculiarities in our political system. Comedy plays a vital role. Think about it. We have become so accustomed to political volatility that we don't know what to do with ourselves when candidates behave like mature, responsible people. It's similar to learning that Metallica has opted to play lullabies at their performance. Yes, it's fantastic, but that wasn't our original plan. Kimmel's humor knows no bounds. It can be applied to anything from boring debates to ridiculous defenses. But when he turned his attention to J.D. Vance, things really got interesting. How could Kimmel be both sympathetic to Vance and able to make fun of his circumstances? Furthermore, what does it clarify regarding the absurdity of political loyalty? Imagine yourself trapped between a rock and an orange area. That was exactly J.D. Vance's situation, and Kimmel couldn't resist making fun of the uncomfortable situation. The late-night comedian compared Vance's situation to that of Diddy's defense attorney.
Having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know? And J.D. Vance, he must hate the idea that a gay man was playing him. And wearing less eyeliner than he does, too. He didn't do any of those things. In fact, both candidates were pretty darn polite to each other.
Right now, no one wants that position, especially if you represent Donald Trump. Before, Vance had called Trump a reprehensible idiot, but now he was defending the man in court like a lawyer, trying to explain why his client's pants did not catch fire. Kimmel mixed sarcastic remarks with sympathy for Vance's situation. It's like feeling sorry for someone who is attempting to eat a ghost pepper and can't stop laughing at the same time. The cartoon realized how much pressure Vance was under to win the debate. It's hard to defend someone you've publicly disparaged. It's similar to attempting to convince your pals that the movie you recommended isn't all that horrible after they've all watched it. Kimmel provided a humorous and perceptive critique of Vance's flip-flopping. And Kimmel didn't end there. Among his derogatory remarks on Vance's public persona were the terms creepy and awkward. Vance, according to Kimmel, gives people the ick. That's not exactly the kind of image you want to present to potential voters. It's like trying to win prom king while wearing your grandfather's dentures. Not a nice appearance. Through comedy, Kimmel's roast exposed the contradictions in political loyalty, comparable to watching a vegan become an expert hot dog eater. Vance's shift from being a Trump critic to a reluctant defender is remarkable. It's hilarious, uncomfortable, and amusing as hell.
Trump is not going to like that at all. You're in a lot of trouble, JD. And then JD Vance just stare into the camera and say, when you're from Haiti, any dog can be a sandwich.
Kimmel analyzes Vance's situation in a way that goes beyond lightheartedness. It acts as a reflection of the political system, showing us how quickly sentiments can change when power is at risk. It's analogous to watching a weather vane in a tornado in that you never know where it's going to go next. The comedian's ability to delicately blend pity and disdain is what gives his criticism such potency. He's seeing that there's more to these political stunts than just pointing and laughing. It's like seeing someone try to parallel park a large truck. You know it would be awful, but you can't help but feel a bit sorry for them. Vance was playing political twister, and Trump was deep in contemplation. What caused the former president to start talking endlessly about a popular war movie on a factory tour? In what way did Kimmel exploit this ambiguity to question Trump's qualifications for the position? It turns out that Donnie Diapers tripped his circuits again. In a mistaken attempt to disparage the conversation, Trump mistook a factory tour with the movie Full Metal Jacket. He feels as though the voice in his head is the only player in a word association game. This was a mistake that Kimmel, who is usually up for a nice orange turd roast, saw through faster than Trump could have finished a bucket of KFC. "What are you babbling about?" asked Kimmel to the late night show after he noted that Trump's lengthy speech confused a lot of problems. This is a question that many of us have been asking for years, but the response is different when considering a potential presidential candidate.
Play-by-play of the debate tomorrow between the brilliant JD Vance and the highly inarticulate tampon Tim Walz. You know, as civil as the debate was, the troll-in-chief was not. He didn't like the fact that on the biggest night of JD Vance's career, his running mate, he's telling his followers, watch me on Truth Social.
Said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of
Still, there's more. In an act of unending genius, Trump spiced up his statements with some offensive nicknames. This is Tampon Tim, the newest moniker on Trump's extensive collection of ridiculous monikers. Kimmel highlighted this gem, showing how Trump might use language that would make an 8th grader shudder. He appears to be vying with himself to say the dirtiest thing imaginable in a political context. And with that, Kimmel went on. Taking aim at Trump's advanced age and potential cognitive decline, he remarked, "I'm not sure he even knows what he's saying anymore." Damaged. That must be more painful than a badly done spray tan. But people, let's be honest, when a former president begins to mistake war films for industrial tours, it's probably time to start asking some questions. The Full Metal Jacket error was the cherry on top of this comedic sundae. Kimmel described Trump's address as a reverse-engineered mess, suggesting that the word metal caused Trump to go off on a tangent that eventually brought him into contact with Stanley Kubrick. It's like watching a game of telephone where every participant is a different version of Donald Trump and gets more and more confused. Kimmel's satire is more than just hearty laugh out loud, using Trump's antics to highlight how absurd his acts are and the repercussions for democracy. It is a biting critique of political leadership. Not funny, more like a little scary when a potential presidential candidate can't tell the difference between real life and a movie. What's astonishing is that Kimmel's mocking of Trump is more than just a joke. The goal is to provoke thought through humor. While we smile at Trump's confusion, we ought to ask ourselves if we really want someone like him in charge of the globe. Kimmel appears to be holding up a mirror to our political system, and what shows is both hilarious and terrifying. In the end, Kimmel's criticism of Trump's debate remarks transcends a lighthearted parody. It serves as a reminder that in the political arena, words matter. Any linguistic error might have detrimental effects. This includes weird nicknames and movie mismatches. While we laugh at Trump's latest gaffe, we ought to be thinking carefully about his capacity for leadership, his state of mind, and the future of our democracy.